Okay. A very good afternoon to all the brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today is the 28th of May, 2023, Sunday class. We will be continuing our sharing from this book, Metta Bhavana, page 42. Before we commence, we shall have our usual puja. Let us compose our mind, develop the faith, saddha, virya, then mindfully we shall commence the puja chanting. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 阿弥陀佛 Namo 阿弥陀佛 Namo 阿弥陀佛 Namo 弥勒佛 Namo 弥勒佛 Namo 弥勒佛 Namo 普贤菩萨 Namo 普贤菩萨 Namo 普贤菩萨 Namo 地藏王菩萨 Namo 地藏王菩萨 Namo 地藏王菩萨 Namo 佛菩萨 Namo 佛菩萨 Namo 佛菩萨 Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Suwakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Panatipata Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Adinadana Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Kamesu Miccācara Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musawada Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Surameraya Majapama Tatana Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, let us pay respect to Puja. Buddhang Pujami. Dhammang Pujami. Sanghang Pujami. invocation to the Devas. In this universe, in the entirety, let the deities or Devas come here. Let them hear the good teachings of the King of Sages, which gives heaven and release, Nibbana. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. Samanta Chakawalisu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddamang Monirajasa Sunantu Sakamokadang Dhamma Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Kalo Ayang Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti Peso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicha Charana Sampanno Sugato Lokavido Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipaseko Opanaiko Pachyatang Veditanto Vinohiti Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujupatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyayapatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samicipatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yogani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaneyo Anuttarang Punyang Ketang Lokasati Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, you all can be seated. And now we shall continue from where we stopped. Turn to page 42. The psychology of metta. The Pali Canon's commentary explain. Here metta means universal love. One loves all beings by developing all this non-negativity so that you can develop universal love. So the first one is one love all beings by non-harassment of all beings and thus avoid any form of harassment, means negativity of mind state. And one loves all beings, B is by by being inoffensive means non-offensive to all beings, and thus able to avoid offensiveness. All these are very negative tendency. Then one love all beings see is by non-torturing or causing harm or hurt to all beings, thus avoiding torturing or causing suffering or misery to living beings. Then one loves all beings by non-destruction means non-killing of all lives, thus avoiding killing or destructiveness. Then number 5 is by being non-vexing to all beings, and thus avoid vexing. Here, vexing, you will check the English dictionary, it means don't cause any frustration or annoyance or bring about fear and worry to fellow living beings. Vexing means causing annoyance, causing fear, worry, frustration, and anxiety. All these are the meaning of vexing. Then, by projecting the thought, means may all beings be friendly and non-hostile, means without hostility, or sometimes they use the word enmity. May all beings be well and happy, free from all suffering, free from all enmity or hostility. Then the next one is by projecting the thought, may all beings be well and happy and not unhappy. Then finally, by projecting the thought, may all beings enjoy well-being and not be in a state of distress or unhappiness. In this 8th way, one develops love for all beings. Therefore, it is called universal love. And since one conceives within this quality of love, which is free of all those negativity, it is of the mind that has metta. And since this mind is free from all thoughts of ill will, negative tendency, the aggregate of love, mind, and freedom is defined as universal love, leading to freedom of mind. From the above passage, it will be seen that metta implies, this definition is very good. Metta implies universal love that outgrows, means the outgrowing of negative tendency or trait by actively putting into practice or cultivating the correct or correlative positive virtue. It is only when one is actively cultivating non-harassment towards all beings that one can outgrow the tendency to harass or cause harm to people, make life difficult for people. Similarly, it is with the other qualities of inoffensiveness, non-tormenting, non-destroying, and non-vexing in deeds, words, and thought, that one can outgrow the negative tendency or traits of being offensive, of tormenting others, or destructiveness and vexation. So vexation, as I've explained, is to cause fear, worry, anxiety, frustration, and annoy people. Over and above such positive conduct and principle way of life, one further cultivates the mind through that specific techniques of meditation called Metta Bhavana, loving kindness meditation, which generates powerful thought of spiritualized love or universal love that grows boundless, making consciousness itself infinite and universal. This one is very true when you do it correctly, when you are able to generate this vastness of metta in your heart. Your consciousness become like boundless, and it is a very powerful spiritual love from within, and your consciousness like become infinite. Then it can extend to the whole universe. After we go through all the various method that is taught, then you will understand. In fact, I did most of them during the early days when I started cultivating. I remember when I went to the uni and I went to Brickfield, then I received this small booklet and people print for free distribution. Metta Bhavana. There were two books I remember, one yellow color, one green color, which were very good. So I actually from there I started. Then later on, I compiled this book because I actually extracted whatever that is useful, appropriate from these two books together with some editing based on my own experience and understanding. That's why I compiled this book. So here I put Metta Bhavana, meditation on loving kindness, compiled by me, Pretio, with reference taken from various sources. That two books are the main one. Yeah, they actually also extracted from the Pali canon. Okay. Thoughts that wish all beings to be friendly and without enmity or hostility, happy and never unhappy, to enjoy well-being and never be distressed, imply not only sublimity and boundlessness, but also utter freedom of mind. Hence the appropriateness of the expression universal love, leading to this freedom of mind, or the consciousness develop until it become very, very extensive and like universal in nature. Okay, we move on. As for the meaning of the five aspects opposed by metta, means what was described earlier on. Harassment is the desire to oppress or cause damages. And offensiveness is the tendency to hurt, to harm, to injure. Then torturing is the synonym of the sadistic tendency to torment people, subject others to pain and misery. Then destructiveness is to put an end to and to finish or destroy things. The threat of the extremists and the iconoclasts. Then the sexing is to tax, cause trouble, and cause others to worry and having stress. Actually, the deep meaning is cause annoyance, frustration, like make you miserable, frustrated, annoy you. They create condition to bring about fear, worry, anxiety, and stress you up. So that is the meaning of this persexing. Each of these tendencies is rooted in antipathy, means there is no empathy, and malevolence, and provide a contrast with metta, both as a mode of conduct and as a psychological state of mind or attitude of mind. The substitution of a negative trait or tendency of mind by the opposite pure or positive cause implied a very developed and mature approach to life, the ability to remain non-harassing, inoffensive, non-torturing, non-destructive, and non-vexing means a very refined, beautiful, and loving mode of behavior in a world where interaction between human beings or living beings, beautiful and loving mode of behavior in a world where interaction between human beings create so much tension and misery. Yes, because the normal human behavior of society is a lot of conflict, misunderstanding, war. Means they create so much tension, misery. And according to Visuddhimagga, Visuddhi is a type of purification. Metta is a solvent that melts not only one's own psychic pollutant of anger, resentment, and offensiveness, but also those of others. So this is a good way to describe metta. It's like it's a solvent. You know what is a solvent or not? It dissolves things that melts all this negative tendency. Since it takes the approach of friendliness or friendship, even the hostile one, they are turned into a friend. Metta is characterized as that which promotes the welfare and well-being of all living beings and humanity. Its function is to prefer well-being rather than having the negative tendency of ill. It manifests as a force that removes annoyance, and its approximate cause is the tendency to see the good side of things and beings, and never the fall or negative tendency. Metta succeeds and it loves, and it fails when it degenerates into worldly affection or negative tendency of mind state. It will be clear from this study or analysis that only when one tends to see the good in people and prefer the well-being of others, and accordingly is inoffensive, means to remove any annoyance or causing harm or hurt, and actively promotes well-being. Thus, metta functions as a good solvent. It is said that the ultimate purpose of metta is to attain transcendental insight. And if that is not possible, it will at least effect a rebirth in the sublime sphere of the Brahma world, apart from bringing inner peace and a healthy state of mind in the here and the now. Hence the Buddha's assurance in the Metta Sutta. So here the Metta Sutta says, you can develop metta to a state which is very sublime. Then from there you develop all this insight or wisdom. Then you can become enlightened. You will not be born again. So here, Metta Sutta, there is one stanza that says, holding on to no more wrong views or beliefs, with virtue and vision of the ultimate, means ability to realize truth, and having overcome all sensual desire, never in a womb is he or she born again. So metta or love, what words of ill will, which is the most damaging of all mental emotions. Hence it is said, for this is the escape from ill will. Friends, that is to say the freedom of mind wrought by universal love, means stated in the Digha Nikaya 3.234. In the practice of metta, it is important to understand the emotion which nullify metta either by being similar or being dissimilar. The Visuddhi Marga calls them the two enemies, the near and the remote. So these are the two mind states that are very closely related, but both of these are negative. They are the enemies. So greed or lust or worldly affection or sensuality, all these are said to be the near enemy of metta because they are similar in tendency. The lustful also see the good side or beauty and therefore gets involved. Love should be protected from it, least the masquerades of this emotion deceive the meditator or cultivator. Ill will, anger, and hatred being dissimilar emotion, therefore constitute the remote enemy. The remote enemy can easily be distinguished. So one need not be worried about it because it's easy for us to identify them. But one should overcome it by projecting a higher force, that of love. But one must be wary of the near enemy because it creates self-deception, which is the worst thing that can happen to an individual. So here, I think what they are trying to describe is the commentary, which is written by, I think, in the early days, there is this monk who is very well respected. I think in the early days of the Buddhist teaching being developed in India, he actually was a Brahmin, very well respected Brahmin. That he studied the Buddhist religion, the Buddha's teaching and all things. Then he developed his own understanding and he wrote his book, the Visuddhi Marga, the 7 stages of purification of mind. And very comprehensive. It's a very thick book, I think. Easily 4 to 5 inches thick with very fine print. In the early days, I remember the Burmese tradition and some in the Thai tradition, they also like to use this book as a reference book. The author, if I'm not wrong, is Buddhaghosa. Buddhaghosa. It is different from Buddhadasa. This one is Buddhaghosa. Buddhadasa is the famous monk in Thailand. Whereas this one, Buddhaghosa, is the author of this book, Visuddhi Marga. So he wrote a lot through his commentaries. So he liked to use all this, the two enemies, the near and the remote. So to me, it's more important for us to develop the understanding that it will not come in and confuse us. We go back to the sharing, and I will just let you understand. You see, what we are trying to cultivate is metta, universal love. So to fall into the near enemy of sensual desire, craving, or the what? Never mind. Don't move. Sorry, go back. Stop there. You see, they used to say when you cultivate metta, then normally the younger generation, they go through life, then they start to develop affection. You know what is affection? Leading to infatuation. You get infatuated with somebody, so you think you love that person. So you like to read it, metta. That is the near enemy that they used to mention. It's because at that time, cultivator of the way has not realized the deep meaning of metta, or the cultivation of the essential Dhamma of the Buddha has not been understood yet. Love, the meaning is very deep. That metta is not ordinary love. Sometimes they call infatuation, puppy love, or whatever. It's not like that. Then there is also this type of description in some of the Buddhist texts. They call it conditional love. You love because of condition behind. And that one is also a very good way of describing that near enemy of metta. Conditional love means if it's your children, your siblings, or your good friend, or your parents or whatever, then because of that relationship, you tend to develop a very natural tendency to love them. Unless there is misunderstanding, then it develops into deep resentment and hatred. So this is usually the initial problem that may arise in the mind of the cultivator, because you still have not developed the understanding of the teaching. But when you go into this metta or loving kindness meditation, then it will help you break away from all this. Of course, the distant enemy is very easy. Instead of having love, you develop the evil roots of hatred, anger, envy, jealousy, and all this negative tendency. After I go into the meditation, and you all can understand better. Okay, I read on. It is said that metta begins only when there is zeal, yes, spiritual zeal, or very strong tenacity, means that passion, that love, in the form of here they use the word desire to act. It's actually not desire, it's a spiritual zeal or tenacity. To act means to go that way, to develop it. Having commenced through an earnest effort, here they use effort again, it's actually a spiritual zeal. Zeal, the word is zeal, Z-E-L. It can be continued only when the five mental hindrances of sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness of mind and doubt are put down. So they also know when the mental hindrances are there, you cannot develop pure metta, the true metta, because these are the ones that will hinder your mind from entering the meditative state of inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness. Means prevent you from developing the meditative mind state. Metta reaches its consummation with the attainment of this, what they call Buddha Kosa. He liked to use jhana because it's from the Hindu Brahmin tradition. So attainment of absorption, they call it jhana. Jhana means the mind become one-pointedness. Then develop a lot of metta energy, concentration, energy field. But when metta is there, it's okay. It's okay. It's a very strong energy field. But when you hold on to this, that jhana actually suppress all the mental hindrance, and you may have a false sense that you have transformed. Your mind has transformed. I remember in the early day, my metta was developed until very strong. So that metta I can radiate out from my nature. I naturally it come out. It's a very soothing energy from my heart area. It come out. Then I can be in that state, having universal. Then that time, that metta force, the energy, animals, non-human, or they can detect you, and they like you, they love you. Their behavior will transform when they feel the metta. During that time, I tested it, and I gained a lot of understanding of what that thing is. But it is just that phase when you cultivate it. Because later on, when wisdom develops, I realized the wisdom actually replaces that metta. That metta, if you want to develop it, you can still develop it, but it only arises when there is condition for it to arise. Otherwise, you will let things be, because the wisdom, understanding, will actually transform the cultivator not to cling on to all this, hold on to all this, and keep on wanting to radiate and develop all this. So you will transform when the time comes, and the cultivator of the way will know. It's only with wisdom that you can develop that understanding leading to equanimity of mind. Then number 6. Number 6 is the meditation on metta. This is the one that I want you all to develop understanding. So you can, if you, especially those who haven't done it or who are new, you try it out. It is very useful. It will bring about a lot of very positive, conducive vibration to your environment, to your house, your office, or wherever you are when you radiate them. In the early day, I do it a lot in my own house. And it's like charge up the whole area. Then it reach all the directional, universal, and very extensive, the whole of the metta cultivation. Anyway, I read, then you all develop the understanding. There are various ways of cultivating Metta Bhavana, or loving kindness meditation. The meditation on universal love. 3 of the principal methods will be explained here. These instructions, they are based on the Pali canon, canonical, and commentaries, sources. Commentary means from that Visuddhimagga, the thick book that I told you. They are intended to explain the cultivation of metta, meditation of metta, means Metta Bhavana, in a clear, simple and direct way, so that anyone who is earnest about taking up the cultivation will have no doubt about how to proceed. For further instruction on the theory and practice of Metta Bhavana, the reader is referred to Visuddhimagga chapter 9. Yeah? Though if you are interested in reading up the Visuddhimagga, you can go and read. In fact, a lot of information are there. They extract from there. Anyway, we go down. Method 1. I call this the most effective method. I started with this. This one is very good. So you listen. Sit down in a comfortable posture in a quiet place. It can be anywhere, whether it's a shrine room, a quiet room, a park, or any other place providing privacy and silence. So I normally do it in my house last time. I make it a point, early morning, I will read it, develop, then middle of the night before I sleep. I also do it. Then in between, when I reach office, I also do it. In fact, the early day when I was in the uni, I do a lot too. I do a lot of this metta. Then that time I was sharing room with people, but I normally meditate when they are not around or when they have slept. Then I start waking up and do my own sitting and all those things. Then later on, when I came out to work, I have my own house, my own place. Then I do it on my own. I normally will have an altar, then I will go and sit there. And most of the time, I also do it in my room. When my children and my wife sleep already, then I will do it. So all this is what you can do. Then after that, you can start off with this particular, what they call instruction, which is very useful. Keeping the eyes closed, you repeat this word, metta, metta, metta. So you develop the understanding of this word metta. And what is metta? Mentally conjure up its significance. Metta is very powerful, a lot of significance. So here metta means love as the opposite of all the negative tendency of hatred, resentment, malevolence, impatience, pride, arrogance, all the negative tendency. Then you realize metta has none of all this. That's why when you develop this, you will have that joy. Your metta is without hatred, without envy, jealousy, resentment, unhappiness, pride, arrogance, and all those things, not there. And it is also a very profound feeling of love or goodwill, sympathy, and kindness, promoting the happiness and well-being of others. You really wish all beings well and happy, having well-being without enmity, without ill will and untroubled, and may they keep themselves happy and peaceful always. So that metaphor is very, very strong. You conjure it up, then repeat metta, 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 until that metta actually build up. Then now visualize your own face in a very happy and radiant mood. Every time you see your face in the mirror, see yourself in a happy mood with a radiant smile. Radiant smile is very important. And put yourself in this mood during meditation. So when you have joy, happiness, you cannot have the negative mental state. I remember that visualization, yourself facing a mirror, radiating a radiant smile. When you can smile, when you can have joy, that very strong metaphors will develop. So a person in a happy mood cannot become angry or harbor negative thought or feeling. Having visualized yourself in a happy frame of mind, now charge yourself with the thought. This one is very powerful. May I, of course, I add in the word, this body and mind of mine. I add in the word, this body and mind of mine. Be free from all hostility. You can also add in the word enmity. Free from all affliction. Free from all sorrow, lamentation, and distress. May I, then I add bracket, this body and mind of mine. Be well and happy. You must feel the well-being and happiness within your form and mind, your physical body and mind, always. As you surface yourself in this way with this positive thought force of love or metta, you become like a filled vessel, is content, ready to overflow in all directions. This one really happened. Where my metta becomes so strong, it's charged inside. Then it's like you like want to radiate it out, and it's very easy to radiate, but that force has built up already. Then next, visualize your meditation teacher. This is what is recommended, but you can actually do based on your priority. Here, of course, they put if living. Then, of course, the book say if not, choose some other living teacher or people who you respect or revere. But not necessary. Sometimes they already know more. You can still radiate. Then see them in a happy frame of mind and project the thought of love. May my so and so, can be teachers or parents or whoever, be free from all hostility, enmity, free from all affliction, free from all distress. May he or she be well and happy always. May they live happily. Then move on. Then think of other people who are to be revered and who are also, of course, the recommendation of the book is living. Whether they are monks, your teachers, your parents, or elders. And intensely means with metta, spread or radiate towards each one of them the thought of metta in a manner mentioned already. Then you end up by saying the same. May they all be free from all suffering, free from all enmity, ill will. And may they all to be untroubled. And may they all to be well and happy always. May they live happily. Then the visualization must be clear. Means you visualize them like you know their face. When you visualize that face and you radiate, the thought force can really go there. Then later, when you know how to wheel it, the wheel, they call it the mind energy, can also be radiated. Then later on is the metta itself that actually they arise and they just expand out from your heart area. And that one is not a thought anymore. That one is metta energy. That one from your nature. It just come out. To do that is difficult. The third phase of metta is very difficult. You must really understand metta and have metta. And from the nature, there is a type of very soothing metta energy coming out. You will know it. During that time, the cultivator of the way, they will feel it, that metta energy. Then when you do that, your environment, all the non-human element, they can detect on, because it's very different, very different. So this one is possible when you do it well and when you have developed it. So the visualization must be clear, and the thought radiation, initially is thought radiation, must be real, well. Then if the visualization is done in a hurry, then no point. Or the wishing is performed in a perfunctory or mechanical manner, means like parroting. Or the practice will be of little use or evil. For then it will be merely an intellectual pastime of thinking about metta or parroting. One must clearly understand that to think about metta is one thing, and to develop metta is another thing. Then to actively project the thought force or the willpower of loving kindness or metta is quite another. Having radiated metta in the order already mentioned, oneself, the meditation teacher, and other respected people, one should now visualize one by one one's dear one, beginning with the members of one's family, surfacing each one with abundant rays of loving kindness, metta. Then charity begins at home. If one cannot love one's own people or oneself, one will not be able to love others or radiate metta to others. So this one is just something you can develop on your own. So it depends on your preference. Normally I will radiate to my own body and mind, and I radiate to all beings within the vicinity. And later on I will include my own family members, my brothers, sisters, my parents, their children and their in-laws and all. So you can include them all, then up to maybe people whom you know, especially my grandparents, and also my great-grandparents, where I saw their photo, and I can recall. And all this, you can read it. Then after that, you can extend it to your people whom you may not like, or to break away from that enmity or dislike of somebody. Because sometimes in life, especially during the early days, somebody cause misunderstanding or ill treat you or misrepresented things about you. Then when you are young, you normally dislike that person, or people who take advantage of you, make fun of you or bully you. So that one is under the next section. While spreading metta towards one's own family member, care should be taken to think of a very dear one, like one's husband or wife, at the end of this circle. Now this one is recommended by the book, the author. The reason for this is that the intimacy between husband and wife introduces the element of worldly love, like affection, which defiles the true metta. So spiritual love must be the same to us all. Similarly, if one has a temporary misunderstanding or quarrel with any family member or relative, he or she should be visualized at a later stage to avoid recalling the unpleasant incident. So these are all the advice. But don't have to keep your loved one towards the end. No. Actually, I started with my loved ones, my wife, my children, and all those things. Then extending it to my brother, sister, their children, then their in-laws and everything. Then I will read on. And next, one should visualize neutral people. You start with neutral people, people whom you don't know. like new acquaintance, or somebody quite neutral. People for whom one has neither like or dislike, such as your neighbor, your colleagues, and at your workplace, bare acquaintance, and so on. And having radiated loving thoughts or metta on everyone in the neutral circle, one should now visualize people for whom one has dislike, hostility, or prejudice, even those with whom one may have had a temporary misunderstanding. This is to help you to break free from your dislike for people, from holding on to negative tendency or trend of enmity, hatred, envy, jealousy, and all those things. As one visualizes dislike people, to each one you must mentally repeat, I have no enmity or hostility towards him or her. You start with this, is very good. Then may he or she also not have any enmity or hostility towards me. Then may he or she be well and happy always. Thus, as one visualizes the person of the different circles, one breaks the barrier caused by like and dislike, attachment and hatred. When one is able to regard an enemy without ill will and with the same amount of goodwill or metta that one has for a very dear friend, metta then acquires a sublime impartiality, elevating the mind upwards and outward, as if in a spiral movement of ever-widening circle until it becomes all-embracing. So this part is very true. It can become all-embracing. Then by visualizing is meant calling to mind or visualizing certain object, such as a person, a certain place or area, or a direction or a category of being. In other words, it means imagining. Actually, should be visualizing the people towards whom love or metta are to be projected and radiated. For instance, you can visualize your parents or your father and visualize his face in a happy and radiant mood, and project that thought of love or metta, and visualize the image, mentally saying, may they all too be well and happy. May they all too be free from enmity, ill will, and untrouble, free from suffering, disease, etc. May they all too enjoy good health and well-being. Then you may use any thought which promotes their well-being, means their well-being, like metta, goodwill, and all those things. Whatever beautiful mind state that you want them to have, you radiate them. The most important thing is you visualize them radiating the radiant smile with the joy, everything. And most of the time, if they are our parents, our children, we know there were moments that they are happy, they have the joy, and you can really radiate towards them, visualize and radiate. I did that a lot to my parents during that time. Even after they passed away also, I continue to do. Especially on certain occasion where sometimes it could be Cheng Beng or one, or when there is condition, I will just radiate, then wish them in whatever rhyme or existence they may be, May they be well and happy always. May the blessing of the Triple Gem be with them. May they too be free from all suffering, misery, negative tendency. May the blessing of the Triple Gem be with them always. May there be love, may there be peace, and may there be joy deep within their hearts. Then may they develop the progress of Dhamma, so that they too can develop their appropriate wisdom and insight to realize the truth, so that they too can develop the awakening, stages of awakening, and continue their cultivation for life after life to come. Okay. Then after that, I will read on. By radiation is meant, as explained above, the projection of certain thought promoting the well-being of those persons towards whom one's mind is directed. A metta thought force is a powerful thought force. It can actually affect what has been willed. When you radiate or you will it through your thought energy, the second phase, when you can will your metta out. So that one can be very powerful. For wishing well-being is willing, and thus is a creative action. In fact, all that man has created in different fields is the result of what he has willed. So this one is, they are referring to mental intention. But when you will it from your heart with sincerity and true metta, it's different. That mind force is different. Then whether it's a city or a hydroelectric project, a rocket going to the moon, a weapon of destruction, or an artistic or literal masterpiece, radiation of thought of metta too is the development of a willpower that can effect whatever that is being willed from your heart. It is not a rare experience to see disease cured and misfortune warded off. When you radiate all this, even from a great distance, it can bring about a cure, especially when you radiate metta to those who are about to undergo operation or who is sick. If there is understanding, causes and condition behind, it has its effect and it's very powerful. That's why it's mentioned here, it's not a rare experience to see disease cured or misfortune warded off. Even from a great distance, by the application of this thought force of metta. Especially sometimes you know that your children or your parents or even your brothers, sisters, or whoever who are close to you, you know they are traveling or what, you can radiate, even your kilometer or what, radiate that thought force of love and metta to them. May they be well and happy, may no harm come to them. May the blessing of the Triple Gem be with them. So all this can help. Then I read on the last sentence. But this thought force must be generated in an extremely specific and skillful way, means with understanding, following a certain sequence. Then the formula for radiating metta that is used here has come down from the ancient Patisam Bidamaga. So here they translate, I think the Pali word also there is quite a good guide. So here the translation is, May they all be free from hostility. You can use the word enmity also. Free from affliction, free from distress. May they be well and happy always. May they live happily. So here in Pali, I think most of you might have heard this chanting before. It's quite interesting. Avira hontu, apapaja hontu, aniga hontu, sukhiyatanang pariharantu. So the Burmese tradition, they like to chant this. Then the commentary explanation of this term is highly significant. Free from all enmity or hostility, means avera hontu, means absence of enmity or hostility, whether aroused on account of oneself or others, or on account of oneself because of others, or of others because of oneself or others. Then one's anger towards oneself might take the form of self-pity, remorse, or a gripping sense of guilt. It can be conditioned by interaction with others. So hostility, they combine anger and enmity. So free from affliction is the second one, abhapaja, means absence of pain and physical suffering or affliction. Free from distress means aniga hontu, means the absence of mental suffering, anguish or anxiety, fear, worry, anxiety, which often follows upon hostility or bodily affliction. It is only when one is free from hostility, affliction, and distress that one lives happily. That is, conduct oneself with ease and happiness. Thus all these terms are interconnected. Then by order is man visualizing object one after another. By taking the path of least resistance in a graduated sequence, which progressively widen the circle, and therewith the mind itself. The Visuddhimagga is emphatic about this order. According to Acharya Adek, the author, Buddhaghosa, one must start the meditation on metta by visualizing oneself, and thereafter a person for whom one has reverence, then one's dear one, then neutral person, then hostile person. As one radiates thoughts of love in this order, the mind breaks all barrier between oneself, a reverent one, a dear one, a neutral one, and a hostile one. Everyone comes to be looked upon equally with the eyes of loving kindness. So as you radiate, you realize that metta is universal. There is no more negative tendency of the person you perceive. Well, most of these are our habitual tendency that we, through delusion, unknowingly cling on to, grasp onto, and hold on to. That's why we stir our mind, we develop the like and dislike, pleasant and unpleasant sense experience, the envy, the jealousy, the hatred, and all those things. Especially that dislike. So all this, they are part and parcel of human behavioral mind states. So as you go through life, you develop it without understanding. But when you radiate metta, you can break free from all those barriers, where everyone is treated equally with metta, with love. No more negative tendency. Then when you can radiate to people whom you don't like, especially your enemy or people whom you don't like, then you realize you got no more problem with that person. when you see the person, the habitual tendency or dislike all like gone, then you feel strange. It has an effect on the individual. It can help transform that negative tendency, which is what we call the habitual tendency that one developed through wrong view in the early days. That's why cultivating metta can reverse all this, can make you very different. Then I read on, in the Visuddhimagga, Acharya Buddhaghosa gives a very apt analogy for the breaking of the barrier. This one you must listen. Suppose bandit were to come to the meditator who is sitting in a place with a respected, a dear and a neutral, and a hostile or wicked person and demand, friend, we want one of you for the purpose of offering human sacrifice. If the meditator were to think, let him take this one or that one has not broken down the barrier. And even if he were to think, let none of this be taken, but let them take me, even then he has not broken down the barrier, since he seeks his own harm. And Metta Bhavana meditation signifies the well-being of all. But when he does not see the need for anyone to be given to the bandit and impartially project the thought of love towards all, including the bandits, it is then that he would break down the barrier. So this example is very good. Yeah. Okay, we stop here at page 52. Those who actually have interest, you can read on your own and try out this various way of reading metta. The method 2 and method 3, they are also quite useful. But the method 1 is very common, very universal. Most people would start with that. Then it develops more and more universality, more embracing type of metta. Then that various steps that you take to go through the radiation will develop that ability to radiate metta at different level of understanding. That as you cultivate more and more, I remember in the early day, my metta become very strong. So just relax body and mind, maintain awareness, stabilize the awareness, and the force support. For those who already know how to develop the stability of awareness within, then you can silence everything. Don't do anything. Don't try to know. Don't try to do it. Just relax, maintain awareness, and let the mind settle down, and let your silent mind arise. Then after that, develop the fourth support, trust. Trust your nature to meditate. This just silent around your heart area, and let the silent mind detect the gateway, or initially whatever vibration there is, let it detect. Especially the heartbeat, it will become very prominent, and you don't need to have, like the doctor, a stethoscope to hear the pounding and all those things. You can actually listen to it by being aware. That's it. Relax, maintain awareness, stay there. Then you will detect them. Then let the awareness and the vibration or movement move as one. Then it will become more and more refined, more and more refined. Then it becomes very subtle, until the heartbeat, the vibration all become like very quiet. Then later on it like no more, disappear. When it disappear, don't worry. That is a sign of good, refined mindfulness. Then you stay quiet. Don't do anything. Just stay at wherever that nature take you. Just stay there. Then the mind will enter state. Then when you come out of it, you will know what that thing is. Then during that time, you can develop your daily mindfulness, your stability, your awareness become very different. Yeah. That's how you develop the ability to progress. So this awareness-based meditation is very unique, very different, but it's very rewarding, very beautiful, and so easy to do when you understand. No need to go through all the unnecessary thought-based thing. So all this with faith, with diligent training, perseverance, you will develop it and you will become very good at it. Then when your awareness nature stabilize, you will understand things on your own. You will see things on your own. You will have the ability to insight into phenomena, awaken. You will have the ability to be with the true mind, to silently observe, awaken, and realize. So all this ability to see things as they are, to insight into phenomena, to awaken to truth, they can happen when you have stabilized your mindfulness, your inner awareness. So awareness-based meditation, you only need to stabilize it, then try it out, develop the understanding of it. Unless you do it, unless the awareness nature stabilize and develop, what I say may not have meaning to you. But once it has stabilized and you have the faith, then what I say will have a lot of meaning. Then you start to have the joy, the understanding. Then you start to develop the ability to comprehend my words, all those that I have shared. And that joy is different because it will strengthen your faith until it becomes unshakable. Because you investigate into what is being told to you or you have heard. Then it stand up to investigation and you can see all those things exactly like what was described. Then you realize this sati-based or awareness-based meditation is so different from the usually thought, which is thought-based. Okay, you all can slowly, mindfully come out of the meditation. Try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness that you have developed for as long as you can. These are the trained mind state, the meditative mind state that we need to develop the daily mindfulness and the sati in the midst of life, so that we can be heedful while living life. So the inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness, they are mind states that describe the true mind. When you are peaceful, it's calm without thought. So the inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness denote the true mind, which is completely silent, tranquil, and still. All this point towards one thing. The mind must be without thought for it to arise. Otherwise, you cannot have inner peace, inner calmness, inner awareness, inner tranquility, and clarity of mind. So when the mind is in the state of tranquility, stillness, then you can develop all the important meditative mind state, especially the spiritual faculty. Saddha, Virya, and Sati. When Sati is there, there is no thought, it's just aware. And the stability of sati is samadhi. The mind becomes collected, unwavering. Then as you are able to stabilize this awareness nature within, you can develop the understanding of what is going on within the moment, within the form and mind. From there, you develop wisdom or insight, which is the last spiritual faculty. And with wisdom, the understanding unfolds. Then this one can transform the mind to become to develop the state of equanimity. Means the mind becomes equanimous, not because it's in a conditioned state or is held on by one pointedness of mind or a conditioned state. It's a free mind, held because of the wisdom. It does not stir, it does not react. It stays equanimous because it has stability, it has understanding. Then this is how you actually develop understanding to overcome and break free from your sakkayaditthi or self-delusion. So all this is the mind state that can develop the meditative wisdom and understanding and allow you to free your mind, liberate your mind. Then later on, when the wisdom stabilizes, it will reach a stability where it will cause the form and mind to cease. So the cessation of form and mind is the transformation from Puthujjana to an Arya. Means the change of lineage. So when you reach that state, the mind becomes very different. It's not only without thought, even the awareness nature also will cease. And when that one ceases, then you will experience the unconditioned. You cannot describe what that thing is, but there is nothing inside there. Even the pure awareness is also no more. So that cessation is a very different type of cessation. It's not the mind become blank. No? It's nothing to do with it. It's just the activity all cease, sankhara all cease. Then it becomes very still. Then the pure awareness also cease. That is how Nibbana can be realized. Then whoever who can experience it, even for a glimpse, is good enough to let them have the understanding to transform. They call it the change of lineage. Even a moment of cessation, the sainthood way is possible. For the initial transformation to become a Sotapanna and a Sakadagami, the first and second stage of sainthood, normally a glimpse of that cessation, you already change over. And most people may not know what that thing is. But for those who have gone through, the understanding becomes different. You suddenly, after that, can comprehend many things. And the factors that need to be severed or attenuated, it will be gone. And later on, as you develop more stability, the cessation can become longer and longer. And then you can maybe experience the anagami and the arhat state. Then after that, you can continue your cultivation to develop those higher perfection of wisdom and virtue, where you can take the bodhisattva way. That one is more extensive, but that one you must have people who have the understanding to guide you. You need to determine to take the vow, the 4 basic vows, to become a bodhisattva, You need to plant the seed of Bodhi to activate that ability to go this way. So all this, you have the condition and the understanding, you can develop it. For those who have been with me for quite a while, you should know. Otherwise, you have to go and read up that blue book, Cultivating the Bodhisattva Way, the blue book, which was compiled based on the 4 lectures that I delivered, the transcript. Then it was compiled into one book with the title Cultivating the Bodhisattva Way. And that one is very good, very comprehensive, and very extraordinary. So if you want to have better understanding, you can go and read it up. Or when we do the sharing, you can also listen to it again. Otherwise, you have to go to the video. I think I've covered that book a few rounds, 2 rounds at least. Okay, so now we'll open up for the meditation reporting, followed by whatever Q&A or Dhamma Sharing, based on what you have experienced in your cultivation. You can actually share that.
Today's your class about the metta. I have kind of like a question.
Yes.
I mean, way back when I was just very young, I guess about less than 10 years. So when I first have got a kind of like now when I look back, it's like it started with Phanati when I was at this temple, Homage temple. I'm English educated, but then that temple is actually, they were reciting this I think Amitabha Sutra or some Lotus Flower. Then there was this what do you call this compassion Taipei Chao, you call that. Great compassion, but
great compassion
when I heard that kind of radiate, I feel I feel good about that. Of course, I don't know what it means. I mean, till today, I know that is someone that did mention is just names of Bodhisattvas.
Just the 80 or manifestation of Kuan Yin.
I mean, that time after that, I in my like 15, 16, I also started do recitation because my mom also do. But out of hearing, out of feeling, kind of like now look back, it's kind of like affinity, no? Of course, that affinity really helps, no? For me to after that search.
That's why from your life, when you trace back, you will come to know how you can become what you are now. Like the Buddha said, each and every one of us have our karmic nature. We are unique. We are all born of our karma, heir to our karma, conditioned and supported by our karma. And we are what we are because of our karma. So for your case, it's your affinity. That's why at the age of 10, how come this type of chanting Amitabha or Tapicho, they can actually attract you and make you feel like this is something familiar, and you feel good when you listen to it, the vibration. It's something to do with your past, otherwise you cannot be attracted. Also,
I mean, now people closer to like a opportunity like now start knowing the meaning of the Dhamma and of course the Metta Sutra and all that. But still, just now when you were explaining, then I just reflect back that there are also sometimes situations where we do this, but without understanding. Would that be also kind of good things to do?
So that is your question, That is your question.
Just follow the heart.
Don't worry. I will explain to you. You see, like what Beng Lim recall when he was young and all those things. He may be like has affinity and attracted to the recitation or chanting, but that time he may not know the meaning. It's okay because a lot of people started without knowing the meaning. They just chant. It's like the talented musician, or sometimes the kid. You take them to the mall or what. They pass by a piano or a organ shop, then suddenly the music starts playing. Then you see the small fellow just walk there and like attentively listen, feel very joyful, happy, and attracted to that. It's from their past. Yeah. So for your case also same. Yeah. Because when I was young, whenever I pass by this Mahayana temple, whenever they have a function or they chant this, especially Kuan Yin recitation, whether it's Sing Sing or Ta Pe Zo or Namo Kuan Yin Pusa or Om Pe Mi Me Mi Hum, then even Amitabha Buddha, Ami To Pho, Ami To Pho, Ami To Pho. Whenever this recitation start, my nature somehow become very calm, and I like to listen. Yeah. So like you, I also English educated. I don't know Mandarin, but my whole family is Chinese educated. Yeah. So I was the only one sent to the English school. But very strange. When I hear all this, I get attracted. And my nature from inside, I can follow the chanting. And the chanting like become very strong, very strong. Then the heart there are vibration that open up the heart. Then later on, as I grew up, I developed the affinity with this Sakyamuni Buddha's teaching. Means at the age of, I think, 54, 71, I think 17 years old. When I was in Form 5, I remember. My mind starts to like suddenly wants to understand things, inquire into the mystery of life and existence. And I like to like middle of the night, stay in the open field, lie down and look at the sky, and all the stars and all this thing. Then because I'm a science student, the question immediately arises, who am I? What am I? Why am I here? And I knew that time our planet is just one of the small, minute planets. And even within our solar system, it's only one of the maybe 11 or 12 planets that existed or discovered by science. Then our solar system and the sun is only one of the star system, neither big or small, I think somewhere in between. And there are countless of this star system. Some are so much bigger and smaller. Then I look back. That time the population of the world was only I think 4 or 5 billion, I think, not even 6 billion. Now it's almost 7 billion, I think. Maybe 5 plus billion. So I asked myself, who am I? What am I? I realize I'm very insignificant. I'm only one of the 5 over billion human beings on this planet Earth. And planet Earth is only one of the third planet from the sun within this solar system. And the whole universe is so immense. Billions and billions and billions of star system. Then I asked myself, who am I? What am I? How am I to understand all this? Like a normal science student, I came to know, the more I know, the more I don't know. Because knowing is knowledge. Knowledge is what you learn as you experience. So that one, the journey is unending. At that time, very strange. Deep inside, my heart inside there, suddenly the answer popped out. He said, you must meditate to understand. That time I don't know what meditation is. I don't even know the true teachings of the Buddha. So what happened was during the Form 5 holiday after our exam, I remember 5 of us classmates, we were keen to find out. So there was one guy, the father is an authority in Buddhism. He is a very strong character guy. He like to talk about religion. One of our teacher is a Christian, so he like to discuss with him and sometimes a bit argumentative. So I tend to listen. Then later on, one group of us, 5 of us, I think most of us are traditional Buddhists or Chinese, born traditional Buddhists. So we gather and we go around and search for truth. We went to all the religions, Christianity, Islam. We even went to this Baha'i and other way place. But the only place we didn't go is the Buddhist temple, the Chinese temple, where we thought we Chinese, we know what is it. So we want to find out something out of that. Then what I saw my mother do was, every time he make offering to the Devas, the deities, then in return, he asked for favor. So that time I didn't know. I said, if that is Buddhism, maybe it's not so something that is useful to me. I mean, not interested because can negotiate and bargain on. You help me, I help you, and all those things. So I just left it. Then later on, I received one book, very small book, What Buddhist Beliefs, written by our late Chief Reverend K. Sri Namananda. His first edition, the thin book, the red color. Now it has evolved into a thicker book. Yeah. What Buddhist Beliefs. And inside there, when I read, I was full of joy when I came to know what my mother did was just traditional Buddhist, traditional beliefs. There has nothing to do with Buddhism. Then Chief Reverend explained what Buddhism is by starting with the essence of the Buddha's teaching. He called it the Four Noble Truths. So he just described the Four Noble Truths. He didn't really explain. He just summarized the Four Noble Truths like it's normally translated. Then the moment I read, very strange, I said, this is it. I said, no need to search already. It's just like you listen to the chanting, you get attracted. For me, the moment I read that Four Noble Truths, nobody taught me, I knew it's so beautiful, so powerful. Straight away, deep inside, I said, nobody, 2,000 over years ago, especially Sakyamuni Buddha, can summarize all of his understanding into just Four Noble Truths. And this Four Noble Truths is the secret of life. All of the mundane and supramundane aspect of life. Everything is inside there. I say he must be the real one. Because even if I become enlightened and understand what this teaching is, I cannot summarize it so beautifully and so concisely, into just Four Noble Truths. That's why because of that, 1971 onward, I never turn back. I go all out to cultivate the Buddhist teaching. But that time, reading material were very scanty, and people who understand the Dhamma are very few. That's why I was lucky. I started with Breakfield. Yeah, the first day I came to the uni, I met Chief Reverend at one of the science faculty lecture theatre in University Malaya. And from there, I went back and meditated night, and the rest is history. Then after that, I get the address. I went there, and very strange when I go there. The Sunday school, I remember the Pali chanting, the vibration and the chanting like very familiar to me. I also got interested. Then when I approach, I also naturally can pay respect. Then attend the Sunday class. Then they give us the chanting card, and I can chant very naturally. And I like the vibration and all this thing. Then I started going to the library to borrow book. Initially, I collected a lot of these small booklets written by Chief Reverend most of the time to understand basic Buddhist teachings. Then later on, I got more interested because that time I start to meditate already. I receive a lot of metta book, like I say, and the basic Buddhist book. Then after that, I saw in the library there are some quite interesting Buddhist Dhamma book. Then I bought them. Yeah. Some actually at that time when I bought them, I know they are useful, but I read it was like something very dry because I bought one book called Abhidhamma. I don't know what Abhidhamma is, but I got interested in that book, so I bought the book. Then later on, as I grew up, I started attending Chief Reverend's talk, I think, the Friday night, Sunday, and in between whenever he give talk at other places. Then they also invite, I think, foreign monks and all those things, or speaker from other place. So I was also involved in the tape library. I started doing the recording. Then I start dubbing the cassette tape, and we started the tape library by lending the tape to people. That time was very popular. Even Reverend Suwano's Hokkien talk tape all were there, and a lot of Ajahn Chah lineage, foreign monk, Thai monk, and even our local monk, Reverend Minda and all those things. So they were all being recorded. Even this, I remember, what is the monk's name? I cannot remember. He was the abbot of that Perth temple before Ajahn Brahm. I forgot his name already. He came and I get to know him, and we were very close. So a lot of them. And then later on, I traveled to Thailand. I visited a lot of very well-known meditation teachers and masters. And I have some. There is one teacher that taught me very well. That one I was very close to him, Ajahn. Then the rest also I met. Ajahn Mahaboa. Then even, of course, Ajahn Chah, when I know he's already passed away, I only got his book, but I visited his temple and all those things. Wat Pat Pong, Wat Pat Nanachat. Then this Ajahn Mahaboa, I also visited him a few times, his temple, and there were affinity. Then there is this Wat Hima Peng. There is this Ajahn Tet, also very famous monk. Then in between there were quite a lot of this monk, because later on I take people go spiritual trip in Thailand, and we visited many of these places. So that's how that thing started. So coming back to your question, your past will like show up in the way your life is now. So whatever you have affinity with, somehow you get attracted to it. Like in my case was the small book where the Four Noble Truths. Straight away I understood what that thing is. Then later on the chanting, the Pali chanting. Then also the Pure Land chanting, the Mahayana chanting. They naturally become something that I like and I get attracted to and I develop them. Then after that, as I learned to cultivate, I started with Theravada actually. So because I listen, I read up, then I developed a lot of very good understanding of Theravada teaching. Then somehow from Theravada teaching, after 1986, when I met Master Shen Ho, and I took refuge in him was because there were affinity. There was some of this Surangama Sutta and all this Mahayana teaching type of Sutta that he actually shared while he was in US. They translated it. That time the translation was very limited. But somehow there were affinity, and one of the monk that actually, not monk, sorry, the Kapia of Master Shen Ho, he came back to Malaysia. He's a Malaysian. Then he helped the father where the father need him. Then I met him where he came to the place I work. Then there were affinity, and he said, "You are Buddhist?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I will give you one book." And I got a shock when I received the book. It was a photostat copy, English translation of the Surangama Sutta, chapter 1. That's why from there, when I read that one, I can understand. No? Then I got very interested. No? Then I got the opportunity to actually came to know he is visiting Malaysia again. Then my whole family, we went there, we make offering, then we took refuge, and we gather the contact. Then it so happened my younger brother, who is an electrical engineer, he also was posted to somewhere near his temple in the United States. He was having this, I think, seminar or course down there, and it's supposed to be a few months there. So he told me he was going. Oh, I say good. I gave him the address. I say you go there and you buy all the English translation, whatever book you can find, you buy. I pay you. So he bought and he shipped it back. Yeah. That's how I got the English translation. Then from there I start to read. Then I realize I can understand them very fast. I don't need people to explain to me. Then after that, during the year 86, after I take refuge, a lot of things happened. 86, 87, 88, 89. The teacher come, the guide come, the book come, everything come. That 3 years. That's why from 86 to 89, my whole understanding came back to me. That's how I became what I am. Then I started to become amazed at what this teaching is. How come things can be like that? That's why what you mentioned, I can explain to you where I also went through. And I also seen a lot of people who come to my class and all saying, how they get attracted to. They also have affinity, Kuan Yin, most of them. Then of course, some have affinity with certain other great beings, like the one we recite, Ti Sang Wang Pusa or Pusian Pusa. Then some have affinity with Wen Su Pusa. Of course, Kuan Yin is many, many have affinity with Kuan Yin. Then Sakyamuni Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, then some also have affinity with medicine Buddha, Yao Sifu and all that. So all this, as you develop the cultivation and the sharing, all this manifestation will unfold. And when I conduct retreat, when I travel with them, take them on spiritual trip, a lot of these things unfold. That's how you can actually recollect that how all this become possible. That when you are able to cultivate to that extent, when you are able to connect back to your past, your spiritual nature, your karmic nature, then you start to understand how all this come back to you. You start to inherit them when the condition manifests. So all this become possible. So the way you explain based on what you share at the age of 10 and later 16 or what, you had this encounter with the Tapizo and all this chanting or Amitabha Buddha, I would say, they are from your past. Then your question is, do you benefit or is it also helpful when you chant at that time without understanding? Of course, it's helpful. It triggers your affinity, your connection to turn back to all these things that you have developed interest in your past. But you cannot recall because this life you are born as another physical body as a human being in Malaysia. Then all these things you need to cultivate to develop the ability to recall or to inherit. Yeah. So for your case, I think because you have not penetrated the teaching, you have not developed the affinity strong enough to connect back to your past, but good enough for you to know that all this bring forth the causes and conditions for you to finally follow this inquiry, to develop all this understanding. So initially when you chant without understanding, it's also useful, beneficial. But later on when you understand, then you chant with understanding, it becomes different. It's even more penetrative. Then you transform. Then your cultivation becomes different. Even like metta, you develop until many stages and level, which is very different. It becomes so all-embracing and so powerful. Then it becomes universal. It may start with very simple metta, then it develops. So cultivation is the same. Initially, like nothing, not much. Then you start to develop understanding. So the Ta Pei Zhou, for your information, they call it the great compassionate mantra. Why is called a great compassionate mantra? Because this mantra, like you were told, it was compiled through the names of Kuan Yin's manifestation. She has, over the aeons and aeons of cultivation, developed a lot of manifestation that came to help living beings. And all these manifestations are very beautiful. She cultivated the great compassionate love, compassion. So Kuan Yin is famous for her wisdom, her great compassion and love. That's why the Mahayana call her 大慈大悲观世音菩萨, the sound hearer Bodhisattva. So he is foremost in wisdom because he developed the understanding until the Heart Sutta becomes so famous. Then he got great compassion because all these great beings manifestation that he came through the segmented life, they compile all the, I forgot whether it's 84 or 88 manifestation. All of them, he compiled. Because they are named, that's why it's not a sutra, understand? It's called a mantra, understand? Mantra means you chant, because the names are there, the chant, but it's not like sutta where there is words, understand? There is teaching. This one is the mantra. But because they are such great manifestation of Kuan Yin, when you chant them as a mantra, it becomes very powerful. It can exhibit great compassion, great loving kindness. And it's a very powerful protective mantra. Then when you chant them with faith and understanding, you cultivate great affinity with all these manifestations, means with Kuan Yin's nature. That's why, because of Kuan Yin's vow and all those things, when you have affinity, a lot of things will happen. Then you can seek Kuan Yin's nature's protection, guidance, and blessing, so that life after life, whenever you arise, you choose to come or you have to come, you will have this protection, blessing, and guidance from Kuan Yin's nature, which is very important, very, very important. That's why all this understanding will be there. So when you understand and you chant with faith, it will become very strong, very strong. And the vibration that manifests from it will become very different. So different people develop interest in different field. Then they develop the chanting, the affinity. But for Mahayana type of cultivation, like Pure and all those things, because we are so used to all these great beings chanting and teachings, they keep on manifesting one. Almost every sasana they will be there. Sometimes without sasana also they will be there. So as cultivator of the way, when we have affinity with all these great beings, especially the Buddhas, the great beings like Bodhisattvas, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, Pu Xian, Wen Su, Tizang Wang Pusa, and even the other Da Si Zi Pusa, all those things, and Miller Four, all this, you have affinity with them, you can develop what they call great benefits. So the faith, together with the affinity with the triple gem and all these great beings, they will manifest. Then they will link you back to the Dhamma and create the whatever connection. So cultivation based on understanding is very important. You must develop it with understanding. Initially, maybe through your affinity from the past, then you get drawn to, attracted. But when you start to see the beauty of this teaching, then when you no more doubt, you go all out. That's what happened to me in 1971. You progress very fast and you develop the understanding very fast. So this is how cultivator of the way can develop understanding and benefit from all this. Okay? Yeah, Beng Lim? Yeah. So hope that will help you. So have faith. Continue to develop the understanding, the joy. Then go all out. Develop the what they call the passion, the interest. Then after that, determine with faith to develop the Saddha Virya to go this way. Then investigate into the teaching, the Dhamma. When you stand up to investigation, your faith becomes very strong. And it will drive you. And you will cultivate differently, very diligently, with joy, with understanding and faith. And that will drive you. And you become very different. Okay? Sadhu to you. Anything else you want to ask or know? Beng Lim?
Maybe I just like to. I'm still reading the. I mean, just going through again, practically every day. Your talk on the difference between awareness and consciousness.
Awareness and
In fact,
consciousness.
I
That one you
just.
must listen. That
Yeah,
one, a
I
lot
just
of things
finished.
inside there. You keep on
I just
listening. Uh,
I just finished the last part. I
uh,
just because you were saying the last two sentences were try. Of course, you said try to listen over and over again, and
yes,
then
yes, yes.
uh try to write it.
Write
You
it down
know,
with
and then
understanding. You cannot write
this
it down without looking at the notes. Means
uh,
the stability or understanding not there yet.
Yeah, I wrote it. No, there's about almost 20 pages. So when I finished writing, I heard you advised us to write it down. I was so happy
Yes,
that
yes, yes. You
because
should
when I
write it.
heard,
Then, if you can, if you want to, it will give you a lot of wholesomeness. You do a transcript of that talk.
because it's so complete, the
Yes, it's
Dhamma, the
very
full
complete. You
Dhamma
do a
about the Four Noble
transcript,
Truth,
then
the Paticca Samuppada, and then
you don't mind if you can do a transcript, then type it out. Yeah? Then I will go through it, edit
all
it.
right, all right,
Then I will get Kayamita to help do the proofreading, everything. Then we will compile it into a book. Then I will
uh-huh.
print it with the Kayamita fund. That book will help a lot of people, I tell you. That
Yeah, I
book,
think
yeah, we must do the
yeah,
transcript.
all right.
Because nobody actually
I think
know about
someone
that.
did one maybe it's just what they call overall
Yeah, yeah,
construct. I
yeah.
think there was one. Uh,
It's actually meant to be, but that talk, cover everything, no?
yeah. I
No.
just like it's just like some like you said just now the somebody like sent this to me, like
Yeah,
telling
yeah,
me,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so it was
That is
something
meant to
I
be.
was trying to searching for.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was all
yeah.
there, so complete.
Correct.
It's
When
so
you
complete.
listen to that, you understand clearly who are you, what are you, and how you function as a human being. The six type of consciousness manifesting into the nine type of consciousness and all those things. And the difference between awareness and consciousness. When living beings who don't have the training to be aware inside, they are most of the time conscious of life, but they are not mindful within. They are not aware within. That's why the Buddha say the heedless are as if dead. Meaning, if you don't have awareness within, you cannot be constantly aware or ever mindful. So the ability to be ever mindful, then use that mind state to cultivate, become heedfulness. So without sati or mindfulness or awareness, you cannot develop heedfulness. And without heedfulness, you are as if dead. So that statement is very clear. Dhammapada verse 21. And the related one are 22 and 23. 23 is what Apamada is all about. So when you listen to that one, you understand very clearly. Then you determine to be aware. Determine to be. Otherwise, you cannot understand life. You cannot understand what is going on within life. Because our senses, we got the five physical senses and the brain, the sixth sense, they operate very fast. Split second, you are fully engaged when you live life, especially when you move around, you're driving, or you working, or go about doing your daily chores. All this demand the mindfulness that is very stable to develop the understanding of what is going on within life, to observe, to see, to understand. But most people are on automatic mode. Means what? The thought process. They are hardly aware inside. They think a lot. Throughout the day, they are too busy thinking, planning, worrying about life. So they get themselves entangled in life because they are using the thought actually rampantly or heedlessly without awareness. Without awareness, you cannot have clarity. You cannot observe what is going on. You cannot see your thought as they arise. Most people say, I can see my thought, or I can see I still have anger. That is not the awareness. That one is the thought tell you, because you recall through mind that you were angry. Your mind stir and you will become angry. Or there were fear, there were jealousy, there is envy. So all this mind state is you recollect or recall after it happened. It's not at the moment when it arises, you are aware and you are aware of it. They don't have the ability. Well, they don't have the stability or awareness to do that. That's why that talk is very important. That one, actually, that question bring about the condition for me to share the whole thing. In fact, a lot of the thing I share is about my own cultivation and how
Yeah,
I.
actually, while listening to that, also it helps because I also listen to some other talks. But
Uh,
this one it helps also in a way.
mm,
You will kind of know that some other talks are more of a kind of academic wise and
right,
knowledge
correct, yes,
wise, but
correct.
it's not like
Yeah,
it's very
knowledge
different.
based.
It's quite, it's not like they say like spontaneous. It's direct from the heart.
Correct, correct.
So listening
Spontaneous. Yeah.
to after listening to yours, this I
Uh,
can can really, when I hear, I can kind of just know lah, just know,
yeah. You can
just know,
correlate.
because you very clearly you mentioned using the nature, which is
Yeah.
your
From
self
that heart,
nature,
from that
your
nature,
your true
it
nature,
shines
things like
forth
that
and it
So
manifests.
that really
Yeah.
helps.
Sadhu, sadhu. Yeah, very good. So you should try your best to write it down. Then you can use the computer to transcribe. Initially, you don't have to worry about right and wrong. You just listen, whatever you can remember, you write it down. You write it down. You write it down. You continuously write it down based on what you hear. It means the verbatim, means the direct transcript. No need to add anything. Whatever you hear, you remember, you write it down. You remember, you write it down. Then you keep on editing by listening to it again. Then after a while, you become like more conversant, more skillful. Then you can do the transcript faster. Otherwise, if you don't believe me, you try the first maybe 3 minutes, it take you very long. It take you very long. You have to keep on listening because the word like you cannot remember. Then you listen to a few words, you have to write it down first. Then after that, listen to a few words, continue to write. And then you have to go through the whole thing whether it makes sense or not. And then after that, you listen again. And then only you can get it right. So initially, I remember a lot of Kayamita told me when they do the transcript, they find it not easy. But as they do, they learn a lot. Because when you do the transcript, you will come to this understanding. What you have heard earlier on, you think you already understood or already developed the understanding. But when you do the transcript, a lot more thing come out. A lot more thing come out, and that understanding become very, then it will develop the interest. Then there are some Kayamita who told me they did the transcript until next morning. They didn't sleep, but not tired on. Oh, because of that joy, that understanding. So whatever it is, please must develop the understanding. If your health need rest, you better don't be a hero unless you have the understanding and the condition. Then this one drive you, then you know you can continue. Otherwise, rest first. You need to rest, you rest. Then after that, when you rest enough, then you continue. Take your time, no hurry. Huh? When you finish, you can write to me. You know my email, is it? You can write to me. Then I will go through, edit, then I will get it compiled and print out into a book form. So I rejoice. Sadhu, Beng Lim. Thank you. Any other Kayamita who want to help out, you all can form a group. Then maybe break the whole talk into a few parts, because the whole talk I think is 2 hours plus. If I'm not wrong, 2 hours plus is not easy. So those who want to help out, maybe contact Jin Hao later on. Let Jin Hao know. Let him coordinate the thing. Then you all can decide from what time to what time, who do. Then you combine them. Like that will be faster. Okay. Okay. We have to end. 6 o'clock already. So let us rejoice with the good condition and sharing from Beng Lim. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now we will share merit and transfer merits. Akasata Chilbumata Devanaga Mahindika Punyang Tang Anumoditwa Chirang Rakantu Lokasasana Ittavata Jamehi Sampadan Punya Sampadan Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabbasampati Siddhya Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Devo wasatu kalena sasa sampati hetu cha Vito bhavatu loko cha Raja bhavatu dhammiko. Imena punyang kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yawa nivana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, you all can now pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. Then we shall end the whole Zoom session. Thank you for your participation. Sadhu. Okay.